Go to confession because you draw closer to God. Go to confession as
Well,
often as you can.
why is it important to go to confession?
So when I came back to the church, I was um given the comparison that confession is like your car. I would hope your car isn't dirty, but you go to confession as often as possible, just as you hopefully clean your car as often as possible. So, as your car needs oil changes and needs a little TLC, needs to be vacuumed and washed, go to treat that as cleaning your car is like, or well, going to confession is cleaning your soul. So, that's the comparison I was given. Go to confession as often as possible.
Amen. So can I just get a like, so when you go in there, just to give some tips to people, like before you go into confession, is there anything in particular that you do to get yourself ready, leading
Mm,
up into the confession, where it's kind of like, you know what, I need to get down there. I'm going down there.
I always have long lines at my parish for confession. So also too, I
Lots of
know. So
sinners over there.
no, that's good that people go to confession.
No, I know it is. I'm just
Yeah, no,
playing.
but well, for me personally, I always like to um look at the priest head on, which I know some people are a little ashamed to do. Um, for me personally, mentally, if I'm not looking directly at the priest, it doesn't, like, I feel like, okay, I need to go back to confession. I know that's my own thing, but I like to look directly at a priest, to know that I am not afraid to look at the mediator of God and say, hey, this is where I have fallen short and this is what I need to improve on. I also recommend going to your pastor. I know a lot of people don't like to, because there's, again, sort of that shame. But like priests say, oh, they don't remember our confessions. They don't remember the sins we commit.
Yeah.
Even if they do, they know exactly how to pray for you. And there's no better feeling than having your priest praying for exactly where you're falling short. That's just how I
No.
view it personally.
Yeah, and especially, like, how do you feel? How do you feel about that when a priest is praying? Well, sorry about that. Let me pull this back over here.
Mhm.
I want to breathe. I feel like I can hear myself when I'm breathing next to it. It's so high techy now. I'm like, oh, let
I
me push
know.
over here for a second so I can
You
back
sound
down.
good and you look great now.
Okay, so like when the priest is praying for you, brother, just to get a little insight on this, because when you go to confession, this is important. I like how you're talking about that, because it is important to have us in a state of grace.
Hmm.
We don't realize how dirty our car was until we clean it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the same with our soul, because you go and wash it, you're like, man, look how clean it looks. I like how you use that
Yeah.
analogy right now.
Yeah.
But that's how it is the same way with our soul when we get a confession and we just get that off of us. But tell me, what is it that you receive personally when you go to confession yourself? Like, what is it this what is it this if you don't mind sharing that with us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think I would say, I think mentally there's a satisfaction that knowing I am now I have the grace of God. I got that forgiveness. I truly have that forgiveness. Um, and I think that's, when after you leave confession, the armor of God is never stronger. You're in this state of grace where you want to really try hard to stay in that state of grace. But that's the beauty of confession, is that if you fall, which you will, you can go back to confession. You can go back to confession. Think of confession is like taking a bath. That's really what it is. There's nothing wrong with taking a bath. You know, use all these
Yeah.
small little analogies and comparisons. You know,
Yeah, and who wouldn't want to take I love, I think I like how you said that, but like, who wouldn't want to take a bath?
yeah,
I love that. It's like, like,
stay
we
clean.
need to take
Yeah,
baths. Baths keep us clean. When we clean stuff, it like, okay, it's like sanitation. Like, okay, like the
yeah,
toilet area or like a restroom, you clean it, because if you don't clean it, then over time it starts building up stuff.
Yeah.
that stuff starts building up. It starts getting nasty. You're not cleaning it in the inside of the toilet out. It gets all messed up. But I like how you brought that up because the same way with our soul,
Yeah.
when we're not letting out all these impurities, when we're talking about these thoughts, whether the things that we've done wrong or like we say it, the things we fail to do a lot. I think that's a lot of that
Yeah.
omission of sin, like not doing the things that we're supposed to be doing for God. But that's that confession helps us to learn how to forgive ourselves also.
Yeah.
Not only we're asking God to forgive me, Lord, but I really, that's in the confessional is where I learned how to forgive myself, because for a long time I couldn't forgive myself. And
Hmm.
so going to the confessional cleanses us out. And yeah, it may not happen that first time. Go another time. And if you have to do a general confession like 3 times in a row because you're still like remembering stuff, maybe you're still like you feel like you're not truly maybe contrite about it too. Sometimes I know in the past I've done confessions and I wasn't contrite enough.
Hmm.
I really didn't, and I went back again and I did it again. Why? Because I wanted to show that I was actually sorry for this, so I could be in that right state of grace. And then, when I came back, I was like, like I think I don't want to talk about masturbation one time. I
Hmm.
think that's what it was, and I would go to confession without disclosing that I masturbated
Hmm.
or that I was actually at that time masturbating.
Yeah.
And it never got cleared up. And so, like,
Yeah.
even when I would, excuse me, even let me pull this a little back. Even when I tried to stop, I would still be in that. But as soon as I went to confession,
Yeah.
it's like once I got clean, along with the power of, along with that willpower and the Holy Spirit inside of me battling against my flesh, going to confession and getting in a state of grace again allowed me to battle that and to
Yeah.
overcome that obstacle that at times I didn't think it was going to happen because I would be scared to
Yeah.
want to talk about it. So, like, we all get nervous. We run to other churches
Oh
to,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because like
yeah,
I would do
yeah,
that with confession just in general. Like I don't want to go to my church, but
yeah.
then I built these relationship with both of the priests at my church, my pastor and
Mm,
the daily or the non-pastor priest, where it was just like I felt this comfortability of being like, no, it's just like I
I
want to
can do it.
confess my
Yeah,
sins to them because we've built
yeah,
this relationship
yeah.
where it's
Amen.
like if
Yeah,
they do remember, they're gonna know
yeah,
exactly how to pray for me in what
yeah.
I'm struggling with, and it's just like and it goes like I think people like well not people
That's good.
but it's just like it's not just like the impurities, but it's just like if you're consistently angry, that can leads to mortal sin, consistent gluttony, consistent lustfulness, it's just like
Yeah,
all those become mortal sins, and when those become mortal
yeah,
sins, those are the sins we must confess.
yeah,
Not honoring obviously your mother and father, your father and mother, where it's just like if you don't do that, if you continuously do that, that now becomes a mortal sin of yours, which now means you have to confess it in confession, which obviously every now and then too, an examination of conscience doesn't hurt as well. I'll do examination of conscience every now and then. Sometimes I'm in confession twice a week, twice a week. Just it's like what, and like you say, sometimes we forget sins, and obviously they absorb them. But sometimes I need that where it's just like, no, I want to go confess this sin because I randomly remembered it of something in my past, that I never confessed. Sure, it's forgiven, but now that I'm remembering it, I feel the need to go confess it. You know?
yeah. No, that's good. And you know what? I like how you said that. I like how you didn't feel guilty about it when you said you go twice a week.
Yeah,
I like how you said that
yeah,
we need those are graces. That's the
yeah,
problem with a lot of people. They think, oh, those people are going to confession once a week, or why do they have to go twice a month, or why are they going once a week or twice a week? Graces, graces, graces. Like, why do you just go to the Eucharist once a week?
yeah.
What
Get
happens
it
if you
as
go?
much as you
Yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah,
Because like at the end
exactly.
of the day, like you're receiving Jesus. That's why they say daily mass is so good, because you receive Jesus on a daily
Yeah,
basis. But also
yeah,
too, you want to make sure that you're also in the state of grace
yeah,
to be able to receive Jesus. Because if you're receiving Jesus without without having to be in
yeah,
confession in 4 or 5 months, you probably shouldn't be receiving the Eucharist. You want to
yeah.
be in, it's a more that is also a sin to receive.
Mortal sin, yeah,
Yeah,
grave
mortal
sin.
sin to receive the Eucharist not in a state of grace. So
And don't you want the Eucharist to be effective?
yeah,
Oh, sorry. Ah.
no, you're
Don't
you're
we want
good.
the Eucharist? If you're not in a state of grace, then how can the Eucharist be effective? You know, we really try to say, okay, yeah, like I'm going every week, and people are going every week. They're taking the Eucharist, they're going through the motions, not even
Mhm.
really involved in the Mass. And so you wondering why your life you're still struggling. You wondering why, yeah, and those people that are leaving the Mass early, man, I hope you cut this into a short because we need to. I'm talking to all those people out there that leave Mass because we're talking about the Eucharist right now. But when the music's not done playing at the end, sit your asses in the pews, man. I care about your souls. No, for reals. Because you
Yeah.
want to know why? If you get up before the final song, you lose the blessing. Everything is ineffective.
Yeah.
You've blown the entire Mass because you can't wait, because you can't be patient. He's patient with you and you go to him one time a week.